Joining me now is Van Fleet. She was born and raised in China. She escaped, and I want to see what she thinks about what China might be doing. We also got some great news in the last 24 hours from the FBI director, Kash Patel. He tweeted this out. The FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the Chinese Communist Party. I have immediately declassified the material and turned the documents over to the Chairman Grassley, for further review. That would be Charles Grassley, U.S. Senator from Iowa. By the way, I noticed a while ago we kept saying IRGC. I want to apologize for not stopping and explaining. That stands for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. We used that today on radio without defining it. And someone emailed and said, what is the IRGC? So again, I apologize. We are always trying, like using CCP there, and saying that's the Chinese Communist Party, because we're adding a lot of new people. And a lot of new people are waking up, and they're trying to catch up, and we don't want them left behind with all the acronyms. So CCP, obviously, is the Chinese Communist Party. IRGC is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. But this is great news from Kash Patel, because now he's showing what many of us thought, what many were saying, that the CCP was indeed involved in ballots, and I guess creating fake driver's license to be involved in the election. Isn't that what John Ratcliffe, didn't he tell us that? Isn't he now the CIA director? But didn't he tell us back then that China was involved in messing with the elections in 2020? Yeah, I remember that bulletin, don't you? Joining me now is Van Fleet. Great to see you again. Last time you were with us, we were at the museum there in D.C. that deals with all the 500 million that the communists have killed. And
yes,
we got a great response from that. Thank you for being back with us tonight.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So what do you know, there's a military and economic alliance between Iran and Russia, and China, North Korea. What do you think Iran will do if America does get more involved or begins to be involved in bombing strikes and runs in Iran? What do you think China is likely to do? Or how do you think China may be encouraging this to get America involved and then maybe use it to make a move on Taiwan, where about 90% of our chips currently come from? So I know I called you yesterday and I asked you to think through it all and then come give us an analysis. The floor is yours. What do you think?
Oh, I don't have really much idea what China would do or want to do, but I can tell you something about my reaction to what China is thinking right now. And I think they're terrified. They're watching closely. And they did one thing, though, today. And the report said that they had two big cargo flights to Tehran.
Two big cargo flights. Let me make sure my audience understood you with your beautiful accent there. Two large cargo flights from China to Tehran. So you're hearing that too?
Yeah. And I think so far the discussion about the Israel-Iran conflict, and not many people talk about China. And I think this is important. That I'm so glad you asked me to come here to share my opinion. I really just only can say this is my opinion, my own analysis, if I can call it. Everything that is going on in the Middle East, all these terrorist activities targeted not just on Israel, but the United States. China is behind it. And China is behind Iran. And Iran is China's extension to the Middle East. And that's very, very important. And I think China is now terrified. Why? I think one important thing they see is that a war like this, it's not the soldiers who die first. It's the rulers. It's the leaders. And also, they see that when things happened in a totalitarian regime like Iran, which is what China is, people rise up. And now we heard that Elon Musk provided Starlink to Tehran. Can you imagine that happening in China? That people all of a sudden can see what's really going on beyond the censorship. And that's what they terrified. And the people will rise up and the dictators go first. They get eliminated first. So I think for this, they have to think not just twice, 3 times, more 4 times before they make the move to take Taiwan. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that gives them a lesson.
So where do you think China is on their timetable when it comes to Taiwan? Do you think it's when America gets distracted in a war in the Middle East, thus 2025? Or is it 2026? Or has been said 2027? Would they move their timetable up? Are they even in an economic position to do that right now?
Well, we don't know. No one really knows, but they do want America to be distracted. They like the war going on in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, and they have been supporting Russia and giving all sorts of support through weapons and even troops. They even put troops there. So they want to keep America busy in different conflicts so that they can focus on their really important goal is to take Taiwan. I don't know whether when and whether we will do it, but that is on the table. That's absolutely on the table. And I think what's going on in Iran now will make them really, really think twice.
What else are you hearing? Anything else that, since we last visited in Washington, D.C. about a month ago now, that you want to tell our audience before you go tonight?
Well, I just want to, now there's really a lot of disagreement among MAGA, right? There are people that want us to go in and join the war. And there are some said, no, we should not have nothing to do with it. And I'm torn. I don't want America to get into another war, but I also understand the danger of the regime. And this is important, that both Iran and China are theocracy. China is run and ruled by Marxism, and Tehran or Iran is by Islamism. And they are both dangerous. And if we have this, whatever you call it, isolationist, and it can be dangerous because the history shows when America not engage, sometimes it can be very dangerous. And that's what happened in the 20s and the 30s. That is the time period from President Harding and Coolidge to Hoover. And America just decided they were just going to focus on America. They're not going to get involved. And what they missed is that while they were isolate themselves, Soviet Union didn't. That's how Soviet Union infiltrated China and helped the founding the CCP, which is 1921. And today, CCP is our #1 threat. So that's something we have to keep in mind. Indeed. And I just read.
Hold right there. I'm going to hold you over. Hold right there. Hold right there. I'm going to hold you over. I'll hold you over so the music, because the computer's going to take it away. Hold you over. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. And then Nick Helsher will join us. Don't go away.
Okay. Looking for a trusted source to understand today's world through a Christian worldview? Worldview Tube is built on the 35 years of worldview books, columns, research, and high-profile interviews of Brannon Howse. Want to know more about Worldview Tube, its founder, history, team, and mission? Visit worldviewtube.com/about. That's worldviewtube.com/about. Worldview Tube is your source for understanding the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. WorldviewTalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. And welcome back. Glad you were with us. I have my satellite phone. I got it from Tina at Worldview Talk, the CEO of Worldview Talk. You can get one as well. You can get solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400. You can get the bulletproof backpack. I have one right there in front of that camera that I'm looking at right now. Literally, that thing is big. And you can always use it as a little bit of a shield. It has been tested. It has been tested. It's a bulletproof backpack. They have so many things there at Worldview Talk. I highly recommend that website to you, worldviewtalk.com. I was just told during that break that somebody just bought 6 of these Israeli-made gas masks. Yeah, I have these. I have one for every family member. I also have some for the guys in the control room. I don't know what the times will hold. I do remember there was even a train derailment, remember, in Palestine, Ohio. And if you had to get out into that, the wind was blowing your direction, you had to get out of town, you're probably going to want to don one of these to get out of town, right? So we have all kinds of things. We have freeze-dried food. I have about a 2-year supply for my family because if I need to, I want to barter with it. We have all kinds of supplies there at worldviewstore.com. It's not a joke, and you don't have to buy it from us, but I urge you to be prepared. Be prepared, folks. But if you do buy from us, it does help our budget. We got to bring in about $40,000 a month to keep this network going. And that doesn't count my salary. That's just my operational costs, folks. So we do appreciate you doing business with us when you can. But if you want to buy it from someone else, go ahead. I would just suggest you get these things. But we do have a website we put together in 2016 because our audience asked for it. Like, well, what do you have? What did you get? Where'd you get it? I said, well, we'll just build a website and work with the companies we bought stuff with. So we did. It's there, worldviewstore.com. Xi Van Fleet joins me, author of Mao's America. She survived the Mao Revolution and escaped from China and has made her home here. And she's warning Americans about too many similarities between what she saw in her home country and what she's seeing now. You mentioned that we got to stay ever vigilant. I think Lenin said before he died, we'll take Eastern Europe. We'll take a big chunk of Asia, Eastern Europe. We'll surround the United States, and then we'll collapse it from within. And I think a lot of that's come true as communism has spread. Of course, people like John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Ronald Reagan, so many tried warning about this, during the 70s, 60s, and 70s, and they got called all kinds of, horrific names. But reality is, you said two groups, the Islamist and the Marxist, the red-green axis, they are working to collapse us from within. And it was, I give it all the time, but I want people to memorize it. Carlos the Jackal, a terrorist, a jihadist, said, only a coalition of the Islamists and the Marxists can bring down America. I'm very concerned that we're not paying attention to that here. We're paying attention to what Iran is doing, their Islamic regime, what they want, death to America, death to the Jews, kill the Christians, kill them, right? But we're spending all this money now putting military assets into the region, but yet we have NGOs and our own government funding some of these mosques and these communist groups. We're funding them ourselves, and they're not over there. They're right here. Isn't that what you've been warning about? That these groups are right
That's
here
exactly
on our
what I'm
homeland?
warning. Yes. Yeah. It's the enemies within.
Yeah.
And it's now just look what's going on now. And I just saw a tweet from a congresswoman, a Democrat, of course, and they're just accusing Trump for hurting these civilians. Because Trump said, get out of Tehran. He wants to protect the civilians. But that is what we are having. So they attack Trump for his tariff war against China, against CCP. And they absolutely, anything Trump does, they're against. And many times they ended up siding with CCP, with Iran, with Hamas, with illegals. And that's really the situation now. It's the enemies within.
And you believe that the CCP is behind a lot of these riots we're seeing, right? That's CCP money?
Absolutely.
Is that CCP
Yes.
money?
Yes, absolutely. And there was a report. Now I can't remember his name. Nihan,
Singham.
and he's a billionaire.
Singham. Singham.
Yes, Singham. Yeah. Yes. And he made his fortune in China. He's absolutely 100% CCP's agent.
He lives in Shanghai. He lives there right now in Shanghai.
Absolutely. And the news before you brought me in is that CCP is involved in the 2020 election. Absolutely. Absolutely. They were printing. I knew it in 2020 because there was a report within the WeChat, it's the Chinese social media, about printing, about some local printing shop got a order from the US to print the ballots. And so, but it's no one reported. So it's an old news for us. And also, where do you think that the mail ballot thing came from? From the COVID. Who brought the COVID for us? It's CCP. You think it's just happened that time? I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it. I think its time is absolutely planned. And the goal is to interfere and stop Trump from winning. CCP is behind everything. Absolutely everything. And domestically or internationally. CCP is behind all the conflict, all the riots, all the social unrest. You can find the CCP. That's how bad CCP is. So when we talk about Iran, never forget the CCP.
100%. Mao's America, my friend Xi Van Fleet. Can they get I know they can. They get the book at Amazon. Just go there, type in Mao's America and order it right up. Oh, great seeing you again. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have you.
Bye.
We're gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back. Xi Van Fleet. She was just with us in D.C. We were at the Anti-Communist Museum. Did you know there's an Anti-Communist Museum? Well, there is. Very educational, and you should go. It's not a very big museum. It should be much bigger. They need the funding to make it bigger, but it was very educational, and they were gracious to us. They let us bring in our cameras and set up and interview her there, and we're going to be having her back.